Monica Forster, and 669991 State versus Mark Flores. Are the three of you present?
My client is present, Your Honor.
Just say for the people for the asking.
Judge, I see him on there, but let me call him out. Okay. He's now present, Your Honor.
Mark, we're gonna need you to show your face in that camera.
I bet. I got it.
Judge Longoria, your camera is off and you're muted.
What's Dorian's number? Give me yours. 0961.
0238.
Mark Flores,
Yes, ma'am.
you need to please pick a spot, have a seat, and stop moving around, and hopefully there won't be any background noise.
That good. It's my internet not that good, so I gotta move around. Cause if I stay in one spot, it's gonna be acting weird.
But we need to see
But I'm
your
sitting down
face,
right now.
not the lights. Thank you.
All right. Once again, can all of you hear me?
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes, sir.
All right. Mr. Peña?
Yes, Your Honor.
Ms. Forster and Ms. Flores, please raise your right hands. And by the way, you're muted, Ms. Forster. Do each of you solemnly swear that in this proceeding, Mr. Flores, I don't see your right hand.
Me?
I don't see your right hand. There you go. Thank you. Do each of you solemnly swear that in this proceeding, the information and responses you submit will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Ms. Forster,
Yes, sir.
Mr. Flores,
I do.
Mr. Peña.
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you. You may put your hands down. Now, the three of you are here on specific charges, and before we proceed, I need to make sure each of you knows that each of you individually in your own case has a constitutional right and protection that includes a right to remain silent. That means neither one of you can be required or forced to make a statement, answer questions, or submit written paperwork that has your signature, especially papers that admit or confess to wrongdoing. You understand you have that right, Mr. Peña?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Lopez. Mr. Flores
Yes, sir.
and Ms. Forrester.
Yes, Your Honor.
You each have the constitutional right to a jury trial. That means that each of you individually in your case with your attorney could select 6 people from a jury pool of disinterested citizens who would hear the entire trial, and they would decide whether you are not guilty or whether you have been proven guilty beyond reasonable doubt. That's called the right to a jury trial. You understand you have that right, Ms. Forrester,
Yes, sir.
Mr. Flores,
Yes, sir.
and Mr. Peña.
Yes, sir.
You also have a right called the right to confront witnesses. That means if you decided to go to trial, the state would have to try and prove their case by submitting witnesses. Each of you individually in your case would have the right to cross-examine, question, or challenge any witness who would testify. That's called the right of confrontation of witnesses. You understand you have that right, Mr. Flores,
Yes, sir.
Mr. Peña,
Yes, Your Honor.
and Ms. Forrester.
Yes, sir.
There's also a right called the right of appeal. After all this is over and is finished, each of you individually or your attorney or the two of you together would have the right to demand that a higher court review the official record of this proceeding, the evidence and everything involved in this matter for whatever legal challenge you wanted to make. You'd have to be careful with the right of appeal. It exists, but you'd have to be careful about the form and substance of the paperwork you submit, and there's time limitations also. But that's called the right of appeal. Do you understand you have that right, Mr. Peña,
Yes, Your Honor.
Ms. Forrester,
Yes, Your Honor.
and Mr. Flores?
Yes, sir.
And finally, each of you and the state in each case have the right to demand that these proceedings be held in the open public courtroom. Because of the COVID pandemic, we've not been doing that. What we're doing is by video conference, which is what this is on the computers, by phone or computer. We've been doing the proceedings this way. But to do so, you have to consent, and so does the state. You have to consent to video conferencing these proceedings. You understand you have the right to demand the open public courtroom, Ms. Forrester,
Yes, sir.
Mr. Flores,
Yes, sir.
and Mr. Peña.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. Now, there are documents in these proceedings that are part of this record. Those documents apparently have been reviewed by you and signed. The documents that are in each of your respective cases that have your signature, did you understand what those documents said, Ms. Forrester,
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Peña,
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Flores?
Yes, sir.
Each document that you signed, did you, each of you respectively have the assistance and counsel of your attorney in reviewing and signing those documents? Mr. Peña,
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Flores,
Yes, Your Honor.
and Ms. Forrester.
Yes, Your Honor.
Now, the documents that we're talking about include one that we've already asked about, which is the consent to video conference. Now, all of these documents identify you by name, case number, and court number. The second document that I want to ask you about is each of you has one that's titled Defendant's Waiver of Constitutional Rights and Court's Admonitions. That document has your signature and that of your attorney. That document says a bunch of things, including 14 numbered sections or paragraphs, and it reminds you and reviews that the rights that I've discussed with you. That discussion is being recorded by Ms. Kayleen Rivera. She's a certified court reporter. This document in writing reminds you, and it says, and you acknowledge the different rights and protections that you're aware of and that you are giving those up. Are you aware of the document I'm talking about, Ms. Forrester,
Yes, sir.
Mr. Flores,
Yes, sir.
and Mr. Peña?
Yes, Your Honor.
Now, another document that's critically important is one that wherein it identifies each of you individually, and then it says that I, the judge, certify to you that because you are participating in a plea bargain, it's a deal you've agreed to, that you do not have a right of appeal. That's simple logic. You can't make a deal and then appeal it and say, no, I don't want it. Because this is a plea bargain, you would not have a right of appeal. Did you see and understand that, Mr. Flores?
Yes, sir.
And you signed the document,
Yes, sir.
Mr. Peña
Yes, Your Honor, and the document was signed as well.
and Ms. Forrester?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. Now, state and defense, help me here. Are these three people going to get probation?
Yes, Judge.
Or any of them going to get deferred at the adjudication?
Mr.
Judge, I
Peña,
believe they're all deferred.
All right.
No, there's one deferred adjudication.
Yes, they're all deferred.
Oh, sorry. Sorry.
That's all right. All right. Now, each of you has signed what's called an application for probation, specifically deferred adjudication. Deferred adjudication, your attorneys have gotten you some very beneficial agreements. We'll go into more detail, but the bottom line is this. If you live up to 100% of the conditions of supervision, then your case will be dismissed and you're not even going to be convicted. Under Texas law, you're not convicted of the charge that you're pleading to. If you fail or refuse to live up to the conditions of supervision, and I'm talking about 100% of the conditions, then the state may ask me to give you official notice, bring you in for a hearing. And at that point, if I believe under the evidence and whatever is shown to me that it is appropriate, then I can give you a conviction that follows you the rest of your life. And you'd be looking at 100% of the range of punishment for each of your offenses that you plead to. It is very important that you live up to your deal. Otherwise, the crux or the heart of the deal, which is that you're not convicted, can go out the window. You understand what you asked for by asking for deferred adjudication, Mr. Peña,
Yes, Your Honor.
Ms. Forrester,
Yes, Your Honor.
and Mr. Flores.
Yes, sir.
Now, are each of you U.S. citizens, Mr. Peña,
Yes, Your Honor.
Ms. Forrester,
Yes, sir.
and Mr. Flores?
Yes, sir.
All right. Do either of you have any children that you support? Ms. Forrester,
No, sir.
Mr. Flores,
No, sir.
and Mr. Peña?
No, sir.
All right. Then we'll proceed. Anybody have any questions at this point? Mr. Peña? State.
No, Your Honor.
The state, do you have a motion on Mr. Peña?
Yes, Judge. We're waiving the extreme intoxication enhancement and then adding count 2 obstruction of highway and proceeding solely on count 2.
All right. Do you have a motion on Ms. Forrester?
Yes, Judge, it's the same motion. We're waiving the extreme intoxication enhancement and adding a count 2 obstruction of a highway and proceeding solely on count 2.
And is there any kind of motion on Mr. Flores?
No, Your Honor.
All right. Mr. Norton, on the motion to waive the extreme intoxication enhancement and to amend and add count 2 and proceed on count 2 obstruction, is there any objection?
no, sir.
And furthermore, do you waive the 10-day amendment notice?
Yes, sir.
Very good. Ms. Thorne, on the amendment, the motion to amend and proceed on count 2, obstruction. Do you have any objection?
No objection, Your Honor, and we'll waive the 10 days.
Very good. All right, then. Mr. Pena, to the charge of obstruction, by the way, the two of you, Mr. Pena and Ms. Forrester, you've been blessed with a very, very good deal. Not only is the DWI extreme intoxication being reduced, it's even being taken technically out of the DWI category. You're both getting an obstruction of a passageway, highway, or waterway. Live up to that, you don't even get convicted of the obstruction. Violate it, you got all kinds of trouble. So, Mr. Pena, to the charge of obstruction of a passageway, highway, or waterway, how do you plead, sir? Mr. Pena,
Yes, Your Honor. Can you hear me?
now you were muted. Now you can, I hear you.
Yes, sir.
How do you plead to obstruction?
Guilty. Not guilty. I'm sorry.
I believe the paperwork reflects no contest.
No contest. Yes, Your Honor.
Little nervous, huh?
Sorry, Your Honor. No contest.
A no contest plea is considered a guilty plea in this court and can be the basis of a conviction of guilt, finding of guilt and a conviction. Do you understand that?
Yes, Your Honor.
Did anyone threaten you, intimidate you, or promise you anything other than the plea bargain in exchange for your plea of no contest?
No, sir.
Ms. Forrester,
Yes, Your Honor.
to the charge of obstruction of a passageway, highway, or waterway, how do you plead, ma'am?
I believe I am guilty.
I understand you believe that. Ms. Thorne, what is her intention as far as her plea?
Your Honor, I believe she entered a plea of guilty, and that's in the paperwork.
All right. Ms. Forrester, do you understand that a plea of guilty is sufficient for me to convict you of the charge of obstruction?
I do understand. Yes, sir.
All right. Mr. Flores, to the charge of unlawfully carrying a weapon, how do you plead, sir?
A plea bargain and no contest.
Did anyone threaten you, intimidate you, or promise you anything other than the plea bargain in exchange for your plea of no contest?
No, sir.
All right. All three of you have pled to this offense. Mr. Pena pleading no contest, Ms. Forrester pleading guilty, and Mr. Flores pleading no contest. I find there is sufficient evidence to find each of you guilty of the charge. But I do not find you guilty. Instead, I am granting you deferred adjudication and honoring the agreement that you have reached with the state. State, on Mr. Pena, tell me the length of the deferred adjudication.
14 months.
14 months deferred adjudication. Tell me about the rest of the punishment. What is the fine?
It's a $500 fine plus court costs, 48 community service hours, the DWI education, victim impact panel, TAP evaluation, and ignition interlock for half the term.
Mr. Norton, is that the agreement that you reached on behalf of your client and that he is accepting?
It is, Your Honor.
All right. I have accepted that agreement, but at this point, tell me, Mr. Pena, what kind of income do you make?
Consistent income. Do you need to know specific numbers?
What do you make over a year and divide it by 12?
I make about $1,200 every 2 weeks, so about $2,400 a month.
All right. You are sentenced in accordance with the agreement, a $500 fine plus court costs, 48 hours community supervision to be performed by you. You will
Yes, Your Honor.
participate in and complete the DWI education program, the victim impact panel. You'll submit to a TAP evaluation and the recommendations that are recommended from that evaluation. For 7 consecutive months, you will have ignition interlock installed in your vehicle. For the entire 14 months, you're not to have or consume any alcohol, certainly no illegal drugs, but certainly in this case, no alcohol for the entire period. Is that clear?
Yes, Your Honor, it is.
You and your other individuals here in this case are ordered to appear in the offices of County Court at Law Number 5 within 1 week, at which time you will have your thumbprint placed on the documents as required by law. You will not leave this meeting until you have met with Ms. Maricela Luna, who will get you started on the probation program. Each of you will have your probation conditions read to you. You will sign them, and they will put the conditions, a copy of them, in your hands. You won't be able to come back here and tell me, I didn't know that was a condition. The conditions will be clear. You will sign them. They'll be in your hands. Is that clear, Mr. Pena?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. Mr. Norton, we thank you for your help. You're excused at this time if you so choose, or you can stick around with your client.
Thank you, Your Honor. Have
Forrester,
a good day.
take care, be safe. Ms.
You too.
Forrester,
Yes, sir.
you have pled guilty to the charge. I find there is sufficient evidence to find you guilty, but I do not because I'm granting you deferred adjudication. What is the length of the adjudication state?
Judge, it is 12 months.
12 months deferred adjudication. A fine,
It's a $300 probated fine, Judge.
all right.
And then there are 48 community service hours, DWI education, victim impact panel, TAP evaluation, and ignition interlock for half the term.
Ms. Forrester, how are you supported? How do you make a living?
I currently work full-time at a restaurant. Chamagaucha.
You what?
I work full-time at Chamagaucha. It's a Brazilian steakhouse, sir.
What do you do?
I am a server, sir.
And more or less, what do you make in a month on a regular basis?
Consistently, so far it's been about maybe about 3,000 every 2 weeks.
3,000 every 2 weeks?
Yes, but I put in a lot of hours.
Okay, so that means you make close to 6,000 a month
Yes, sir.
plus. Okay. All right. I do not accept the agreement on the fine, the amount, nor the probation. I realize you're working a lot of hours and I respect that, but $300 with the income that you show without any children to support is way too low. I am assessing an $800 fine. It is not probated. If You choose, because I'm giving you a heavier punishment than you agreed to. If you choose, you can start all over again, or you can accept this, my increase in the fine. That's up to you. The rest of the agreement, I am in favor of. DWI education, a TAP evaluation, 48 hours community service, victim impact panel, ignition interlock. That ignition interlock will be for 6 months continuous, but during the entire year, 12 months of deferred adjudication, you are not to have any alcohol and certainly no illegal drugs. Now, do you want to accept this, or you want to go ahead and start all over again?
I will accept, sir.
And when this case started, were you working at this restaurant?
Yes, sir. It's been about 9 months that I've been working there.
And Ms. Thorner, you hired or appointed?
I'm appointed, Your Honor.
All right. Mr. Flores, you have pled no contest. Do you understand?
Your Honor.
Ms. Forrester, your supervisory fee will be $47 a month. And you two will come in for your thumbprint, and you will wait for Ms. Luna before you leave this meeting. Somebody had something to say. Was that Patty or who?
It was me, Judge. Yes, I was just gonna ask you about the supervisory fee, and did you assess one for Mr. Peña?
That one was $34 a month.
Thank you.
And Your Honor, may be excused. I have to log into another court.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you for your help, Ms. Thorne, as
Thank
always.
you, Judge. Monica, I'll check with you later, okay?
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Flores, you have pled no contest. I find that there's sufficient evidence to find you guilty, but I do not. I am granting you deferred adjudication. By the way, Ms. Forrester, I don't quite remember if you accepted my increase in your fine or not. You want to tell me officially?
Yes, sir. I accept.
All right, thank you, ma'am. Mr. Flores, you're being granted deferred adjudication. State, tell me what's going on as far as how long the deferred adjudication will be.
That'll be 8 months, Your Honor.
8 months deferred adjudication. The fine,
$300. I believe defense is gonna ask for that to be probated,
you're gonna ask for what?
for the fine to be probated.
Okay.
I am, if you want to just ask my defendant the same questions as the other, I just want to remind the court that he's indigent and very young, and I am going to ask that the $300 fine is probated, please.
All right. $300 plus court costs at this time. How many, 48, or how many community service?
30 hours,
How many?
30.
All right.
Complete the drug offender education program. Complete the firearm safety course. And the state is requesting forfeiture of the firearm. Again, I believe that Ms. Gonzalez is going to speak to the court about that as well.
Destruction, you say?
Forfeiture.
Forfeiture. Anything else? Anything else?
Your Honor, on the forfeiture of the gun, I just want to tell the court that it was not used to commit a crime. He was simply in possession of it. And I am asking that, so to me, it's just his personal property. I'm asking that it not be forfeited and that he be able to get back his belongings. It did come back clean. Thank you.
All right, I'll consider that briefly. All right. Mr. Flores, do you work? Are you self-supporting?
Not full time, but I was working part time. But lately, I haven't had no work because I was working roofing. But the weather's been like kind of weird lately, so I haven't had no work.
All right. Why aren't you in school? You're young enough. Did you finish high school?
No, sir.
Why not?
Because I don't know. Like, I really don't know. I just haven't, I don't know.
If you went to school, where would you go?
Right now, I'll go to Highlands High School.
It worries me, Mr. Flores, that you're just 18 now, you said, right?
Yes, sir.
How many years of school did you actually finish? Not what did you get to, but what did you finish?
6 or 7 years.
6 or 7?
Yes, sir. I went in 8th grade. That's where I last stopped going to school, was 8th grade.
Well, why were you carrying a gun?
Because I just feel like I feel like I needed to, or I just feel like I need to.
What kind of gun are we talking about? What kind of handgun?
It was a Taurus G2, 9mm.
I don't want you to get a whole lot of detail, but did you yourself buy that pistol?
No, sir, I found it.
All right. Mr. Flores,
Yes, sir.
you're getting a really good deal. I'm more worried about you and the lack of your education. What happens if I order you to go to school? Are you going to do it?
Yes, sir.
All right. Your fine will be $300, but I will probate 100%, every bit of it, if you at least go back to school for 1 year. Will you do that?
Yes, sir.
You live with your mom and dad?
Just from my mom.
Does she work to support you?
Yes, sir.
You realize you could give her a lot more help if you finished your school.
Yes, sir.
All right. I'm going to probate the $300 on condition that you register in school and you attend for 1 year. Is that understood?
Yes, sir.
Ms. Gonzalez, I'm going to rely on you. I'm going to rely on you as an officer of the court to carefully shepherd this young man on this issue.
Yes, Your Honor.
If he doesn't go back to school, he's going to be wasting his life, in my opinion. That's
Mine
not
as well.
It's not an absolute, but you and I both know which way that he's headed.
I
All
do,
right.
Your Honor.
You will complete the DOEP course, that's Drug Offender Education Program. I will not return that pistol to you since you didn't earn it and pay for it. It is not going to be a loss of much property to you. I don't want you to have it. You will take the firearm safety course. I want you to learn about firearms. You will forfeit that pistol. I will waive the supervisory fee. Ms. Luna,
Yes, Your Honor.
I will want you all to ride herd carefully on Mr. Flores. I want him to go back to school. I want him to have a chance to do something with his life other than roofing, which is a very, very hard job, which is fine. It's an honorable job. But I'd like for him to have a chance to do better than that.
Okay, yes, Judge. So on the registering for school intent for 1 year is going to be an added condition. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay. Got it, Your Honor.
Technically, Ms. Gonzalez, I have increased his punishment. Mr. Flores, you have a choice of accepting what I have done or rejecting it and starting all over. What do you want to do?
I accept it.
All right, Mr. Gonzalez, I really wish you the best of luck. I want you to succeed. Go to school. You shouldn't be out in the streets, especially as young as you are and with very little education, man. You're just heading in the wrong direction right now. All right? You're not involved with any gangs, are you?
No, sir.
Okay. Then that concludes. You will stick around for Ms. Luna to visit with you. You'll also have to come in to have your thumbprint placed on the documents as required by law. Good luck to you. All right, this concludes the three defendants that we have accepted the plea on.
Thank you. Am I excused, Your Honor?
Yes, you are. Thank you very much for your help.
Thank
Please
you.
keep an eye on this young man.
Yes, Your Honor, I will.
Thank you. All right. Attorneys, anybody else have to report?
Judge Longoria, Jim Tochi here. Good morning.
Jim Tochi, the late Jim Tochi.